Hey everybody, welcome to the Jim Masters Show, Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show Series. Jim Masters here, and look at the amazing guests we have on the screen. One guest in the upper box, it's like Hollywood Squares, right next to me is DeeAnn DiMeo, and she is back. This is her trifecta visit, a spectacular award-winning singer and songwriter, musician extraordinaire. You may remember she was with us on an independent episode, meaning she was here all by herself. And she was also with us when we did the Quincy Jones tribute special with Melba Moore and Brenda Russell and all those great guests who came in. She has some new music, and she's teamed up with this legend in the box below. He is in a very special, we put him in his own square because he has been responsible and connected to and collaborated with and produced and created some of the most incredible music of our time. And he has worked with legends. He is one himself, extraordinary, legendary Grammy-winning producer, guitarist, songwriter, arranger. Ted Perlman is joining us here exclusively on the Jim Masters Show. And this gentleman has produced, played guitar, arranged, recorded, and toured with major artists like Whitney Houston, Harry Belafonte, Bob Dylan, Diana Ross, Burt Bacharach, Frank Sinatra Jr., James Ingram, CeCe Winans, Colton, Dixon, Stephanie Mills, Edwin Hawkins, and many others. He's collaborated with notable musicians such as Ringo Starr, George Duke, Joe Cocker, Brian Wilson, Desmond Child, Dolly Parton, Garth Brooks, Steve Lawrence, Ike Turner, Benny Bardonis, as well as Gerald Albright, Howard Hewett, Rita, Engelbert Humperdink, Please Release Me. And he's worked on Grammy-winning projects, including At This Time by Burt Bacharach and Grammy-nominated DreamWorks CD, Here I Am, by Ronald Isley and Burt Bacharach, and also 50 by the incomparable Manhattan Transfer. He also music director and guitarist for legendary Ladies on Stage with Dame Shirley Bassey, one of my favorite voices, as well as Dionne Warwick and Freda Payne, who's been a guest on our show twice. We even sang happy birthday to one another. How cool was that?
Wow.
He produced chart-topping songs for artists such as Billy Gaines and Sisters J, Alessandra Rosaldo, and the Manhattan Transfer, as well as contributed to the success of award-winning albums by Dave Mason, Neil Sedaka, Margaret Atwood, and Villamar Johnson, engaged in TV show arrangements and recordings with esteemed artists like Lalo Schifrin, as well as Placido Domingo, Jose Carreras, and Diana Ross. And that is just the short list, folks. He's worked in television and film and so much more. And he's done all this just on a Thursday.
Right.
Ted Perlman is here.
He's only 19
from Florida.
19, and he's only 19 years old. And he started when he was 3.
When he was 3. Well, they're here because they love the Jim Masters Show. They're fans of the Jim Masters Show. And DeeAnn's been with us, and she loves being here. We love her here. This is Ted's first time, and I'm destined not to be the last. But they have put their energies, their passion, love of life, and their creativity and talent together to put together some incredible music. Welcome, DeeAnn, and welcome, Ted, to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Oh,
happy to be here.
Absolute pleasure to have you guys here. So tell us, how did this all work out? How did you guys link up? Because DeeAnn, you've always been doing your thing and you got a lot of music out, and Ted, you're always busy doing this, that, and the other thing. How did these ships meet in the same port?
I have two stories.
Okay.
I like the first story. The first story is that I found her on the street. She was singing. She was living on the street, homeless, and nobody was paying attention to her. And I listened to her. I said, wow, what a great voice. And I discovered her. And I think that's a really interesting story, better than the truth. So,
So the truth is. We were, I was asking Tom, my publicist, I said, I'm looking for a new producer. Do you have any ideas? Comes right back. I do. And he mentions Ted. And so it was that easy. It was like, we connected immediately. We met here in Niagara Falls, well, Grand Island. He came this way, and then I went to Nashville, where he was living. And now I unfortunately have to go to West Palm Beach where the sun shines.
Oh.
And it's warm outside and everybody's happy. So, yeah. So we have to really give so much of it to Tom.
Yes.
And then
putting you guys together, right?
Yeah, go on with the story, Ted, because you said you wouldn't even have known Tom if you didn't produce.
Yeah, I met Tom through I was working with Gloria Loring. Gloria Loring, the great singer, actress, Robin Thicke's mother, Alan Thicke's ex-wife.
So Days of Our Lives, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'll Be Your Friend and Lover. And I met her through Carl Anderson, who had that hit with her. But anyway, I was working with Gloria and we had finished the record. And then Tom got involved. I guess Tom was working with Gloria before that. Mm-hmm. So I met Tom through that. And Tom and I became friends. And, you know, we stayed in touch, you know, different artists that he's working with. And then he mentioned, I have this great lady. She needs a new producer. Would you, check her out, see if you like her? And I said, I listened to her. And she's great. She's really cool. She has a perfect blend of jazz and soul and R&B. And she's just managed to take all those different styles and create something of her own. And so when you listen to her sing, you can hear the soul. You can hear the soul of Aretha and Gladys Knight and, Anita Baker. You can hear that. Billie Holiday, every once in a while she sounds like all of those people, Ella. And then, Al Green, she just got such a great sound. And so my job when we started doing this was to make sure that I surrounded her with music that always let her sound like herself through all of it. And she could still have that kind of jazzy, I call it jazzy soul, which is kind of like a new genre of music.
Isn't that great when you hear him say that and describe it that way?
Oh, I'm just sitting there listening, like, is he talking about me?
He's talking about me. Exactly, right? So when this opportunity, came about to work with somebody that is a legend and can spot music, knows good music, has been responsible for creating good music, music that really has been part of our lives all these years, you must have been over the moon and beside yourself, DeeAnn, huh?
Oh, I was. I really was. And just surprised that after working with, people who have been in the business a lot longer and are big time musicians that he wanted to work with me because, I'm still up and coming. And he did his homework. He listened to my voice. He knew my voice. Like he's been working with me for years, all from researching and going on YouTube and online and everything. And he figured me out before he even met me. And I was so impressed by that because he knew how to work music around my voice immediately. And I was grateful that he did that homework.
And that's pretty much how it worked, right, Ted?
The best part is he's so humble.
Yes.
No, I mean, my ministry on this planet has been to work with singers. I've been blessed to work with great singers, male, female, old, young. And when I hear singers, it's not like with my ears, it's inside my heart that I just close my eyes and I can just listen to them and I get them. And that part of that is because I can't sing. I mean, DeeAnn keeps telling me I can sing. I can kind of sing. I love to sing, but I'm not a singer per se. And I know how to make music around the singer, kind of like the old Allstate commercials. You're in good hands. So instead of Allstate, it's with Ted Perlman. So, they can just put themselves here and I can surround them with music, whatever kind of music. And when I heard her voice and heard the way she sang, I got it right away. And we talked.
Yeah.
And then when I got up to Buffalo, we just sat down and I brought the guitar. We just sat down and just started playing. And it was like, I could have still been sitting there in Buffalo in her living room, just playing songs. We could have gone outside with a hat and made money. And, every time we get ready to record something, we start playing some old standard song. We did the last time she was here, we did I Want You to Want Me by Cheap Trick. And we changed it into like a bluesy kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no style of music that I couldn't, start playing and she wouldn't sing. Literally, we could go to the boardwalk. We could go to Greenwich Village with a, guitar hat and a guitar case, and we could make some money.
And the thing is he actually can see because I like a lot of genres. I love jazz, but I do like other genres. And he's the same way. He can go from playing AC/DC that he was goofing around with yesterday
Yeah.
to putting the most blues or soulful solo on that guitar. Like, it just goes right through you. He brings out soul. And Simply Beautiful, they said to me, and I told them this yesterday, DeeAnn, oh my God, I love your voice. I love the song. But that guitar, he was right away, that guitar, because he introduces the song. The first couple notes of the song is him just, putting that guitar on, and the solo on. It's beautiful. It grabs your attention. It makes you want to listen.
We actually have a little teaser too. We're going to play.
That's
for
great,
everybody
awesome.
as well. But that's terrific to hear. That way that it all came together, and then you just came yourself back north from Florida, right? You were working with Ted in sunny Florida.
Yeah, I just came back last night. The happy hour of midnight, and I texted him this morning, and I said, because it was like 80 and sunny most of the week I was there. And if there was rain, it lasted for 10 minutes. And he's like, did you bring an umbrella? I'm like, no, I don't need an umbrella. It's quick here. But as soon as I got home, it was like this. Yeah, the sky was.
And this is.
The sun is out, Ted. The sun is out right now.
While we're in the studio, the view is of the ocean. So that while she's singing, that's what she sees. I don't know if you can see all that. It's the ocean out there and the intercoastal and stuff. So that's really, it's really cool to be singing and looking at that on the water. And, we're up here on the 30th floor. And so it's
West
really,
Palm Beach.
Yeah. West Palm Beach. It's the intercoastal is right there. And
I should have done the show down there. We should have had her stay a couple of days and do the show there.
Yeah, that would have been
very,
cool.
very nice.
But it's just
view.
so nice. It's nice because I've been in studios where there's no light, and you're like in a tomb or something like that.
It's just
great studios.
Yeah.
So it's just to be to the neighbors and just to be able to look at that is just something so spiritual about just seeing the water out there and singing, and just when I'm in here working, it's just to look out there and just see all of that. It's just it uplifts you. And so no matter whatever your day is going, however your challenges you have, it's just the God's beauty just sitting out there is plus the buildings, but not just God's beauty, but it's just nice to see all that. I always like being in the water.
So it inspires you, right? Does it inspire you? Yeah.
I mean, she's near the water, where she lives. You go across a bridge, she's on an island up there. So it's nice because I just I lived in Israel, and I was, near the beach, near the water in Tel Aviv. So when I lived in New York, I was on the Hudson River. I was at a place called the Galaxy, which is opposite 79th Street, those 3 round buildings. And we were just looking at Manhattan. So that was a great place. So I've always liked being near the water. It just always kind of like uplifted me, and helped me to do.
Yeah, I'm an ocean person too. Yeah, I
help me in the water.
Yeah, I swim in it and walk in it, and I'm near it. Growing up on Long Island, we had it all around us, and then family in Florida, and I love the coast. It really speaks to me. Just whether sailing, swimming, floating in it, just being in it, near it. There's just something that happens, the rhythm, the tide, the sun rises from it, sets in it. It's bigger than me. It's got more power than I do. So we have a respectful relationship when I'm in it, swimming or boogie boarding or whatever we're doing. And it just calls me all the time. It's one of my happy places, the ocean. And I respect it. I know it gets angry sometimes, and like nature does, and weather does, and the earth does. But if you know that and you respect it, you should be okay. So we showed the cover of it. Congratulations!
That's great.
Tell us about it. It's a beautiful color. First, tell us about the cover and the design. Who designed that cover?
Well, we have to go back to Tom again.
He has the connection, put it together, right?
He has these visuals, and he is just like, you know what? I want to do a cover where, you're not on it. Your face isn't on it. And I'm like, I'm not? "Oh, I'm not on my own cover? Okay." And the silhouette, and he wanted the black, he wanted the red. And so we went through.
Stands out. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Simply beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I fell in love with it. I said, yeah, absolutely. In fact, he's starting the next idea for the next song that we're going to be releasing that we haven't talked about yet.
You know, what's really exciting is you're really building on that momentum after the success of your sultry 2024 breakthrough single, Stay Here With Me, which we had talked about. And now you're off to this really exciting, wonderful pairing and this inspiring start as you continue to deliver the music in this year. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's all, I give it all to God. And that's what I have to say. I'm going to talk spiritual for 20 seconds. But the thing that connected me mostly with Ted was that he has a relationship with God. And I was like, okay, cool, we could talk about this. And so we both think the same way. You just give it all to God, and whatever it's supposed to be, it's going to be, because it's all in his will. It's all his. So, okay, 20 seconds done.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, you said that on the day that they found a new pope from Chicago, USA.
From Chicago.
So that's something. Yeah. I heard he went to Villanova, and I don't know if he roots for the Cubs, I think. Maybe he's from the South Side. So it's amazing. Yeah. I'm sure he's had deep dish pizza. Might not have that in the Vatican.
Yeah.
I was actually in Italy when the Pope was sick, and they had all of them praying for him, and I didn't even realize what was going on at first, and then I realized that he was really sick, and they were all just thousands of thousands. It was so packed, and it was February, so it's not busy.
Thousands of people there. Absolutely. Want to let folks know too that hometown girl from Buffalo, New York, as we mentioned when she was a guest on our show at the 10th annual Jazz Buffalo Music Greats Poll, she was awarded Jazz Female Vocalist of the Year and most votes for the still popular 2023 album It's My Time, which is amazing. And continued congratulations on that as people still discover that as well. And these are optimistic vibes with the new music, right? Tell us about your desire to want to have, which we really need about now, positivity, inspiration, uplifting music, and these optimistic vibes.
Yeah, we have a combination of a few different vibes going on in the album. And Simply Beautiful, we just picked that song. The reason we picked that song is Ted and I were trying to come up with song choices. And he starts throwing some stuff. He says, but I really think you should do Simply Beautiful. And I really didn't know Simply Beautiful as well. I know Al Green's songs, but I wasn't real familiar with that one. I said, okay, cool, I'm going to listen. So then my good friend, Brad, he was like, I'm going to help you with this album, but I'm asking for one request, and is that you sing Simply Beautiful. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do Simply Beautiful. And that's how that song came about. And that's the one we decided to release first, which is out right now.
Then it was funky. That's with the band. That was the first take. I mean, literally, we just played it, and that was like, oh, that was good. Okay, next, let's move on. It was just right, exactly in the pocket, and just everything. It was one of those, magic moments where it's like you're in it, and it's just like, I don't know if you ever get this from doing a broadcast where you're just like the words are flowing and everything is going.
You're in the zone.
Your guests are talking. Your guests are responding and stuff like that. So it was one of those moments. And so I was producing it and playing and engineering it. So I had, so it's like, get the thing started, recording, everybody can hear themselves, everything's all right. DeeAnn, okay, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, we just started playing, and it's like a warm bath when you're just like tuned, you're just like in this groove. And it's like, and you're just praying that, let this groove, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Let da 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 da. All right, let this groove. Let's groove tonight. Yeah. And it's kind of like you're in there, and once you get in there, and everybody's in there, it's like you can't even get out. It's like the Nexus. Remember on
Mm,
Star Trek, we
yeah.
go in there and it's just this beautiful feeling. And sometimes you get it. Sometimes you have to play a song 80 times and it doesn't get better. And this was a magical day. Everything we played and she sang was beautiful. And that's the way the album has been. It's been very like holy anointed, and just like everything we're doing is blessed by God. And that, we're not making a CCM album, but it's everything is spiritual. There's nothing derogatory, there's nothing inflammatory on there. It's all soulful. Some of the songs have to do with her personal travails and journeys with loss in her personal life, and you get into things like "I'm Still Standing," and so they all "Kiss of Life." They all have a meaning around her story, which is really important. The lyrics are really important. So there's nothing on here that's a throwaway. We even have her late dad, found a way to fit him into the song, and he's singing a piece of "Fly Me to the Moon." And we have a song that her son used to love, which was what was it? "Meet Me on the Battlefield," and it was a piece of Metallica. So it was a piece of that in there, and so everything in the song and the album has a meaning. And there's nothing there that's just there because, oh well, we need something. Even the newer one we wrote is called "Sing to Me," and that song is interesting because we had a different title for it, and I recorded the backgrounds after she had left, and I had these great singers from down here. One lady's from Nigeria, Mary Babalala. Bala or Babalala or something's really hard, and one girl, Victoria Spinoza from Colombia. And then the last session, we added a guy named Thomas Barbarian from Brazil. So really international singers, but we put the singers on, and then it was sounded so good. It was like Earth, Wind, and Fire kind of song that we changed all the words, and it
Oh
became
yeah,
"Sing to Me." Yeah, it was great. It was
he
called "Take Me
texted
Home
me.
Before," but boop, no, and that's
Yeah,
it. And it
he
was,
texted me and he's like, the night I arrived in Florida, he's like, yeah, the next day we were supposed to work on that song. He said, yeah, we're gonna change the lyrics a little. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I'm open, whatever. And then I get there and he's like, well, let's change it. We changed the entire, because it's like decorating.
yeah,
Once you paint the room a different color, you got to change everything around it.
The lampshades and everything with it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we changed the chorus change, "Sing to Me." And then all of a sudden, wait, well, no, let's change the verse now. And then the bridge.
And I have this amazing 67 that just takes her voice and just does with it
Now
like
tell the
that.
audience what a 67 is, in case they don't know.
It's a Neumann 67. It's one of the most recorded vocal mics. I mean, there's a 87. They're all different kinds of
Right.
mic. There's 87, 47. There's an RE20, which is a great radio mic. There
Mhm.
is a Shure, the SM7, which they're all mics that people use, and some people are known for certain microphones. Howard
Mhm.
Stern. I think he's using a Neumann on there, 91 or something. But some people that RE20 was like a classic. My dear friend was Don LaFontaine.
Oh,
And Don
sure.
LaFontaine,
Yeah.
in a world, yeah, he was my kid's godfather. And
Yes.
so I
Just a
hooked him up.
movie trailer announcer
Yeah.
extraordinaire.
Yeah, he would just, I did so many things with him, and he just really basically invented the whole movie trailer
He
thing.
really
But
did. Yeah.
I got him using Bronner mics, and he goes back so far. He taught me. I was doing something for him, reel to reel. This is back in the like late '80s, and
Mhm.
I'm like meticulously putting it onto the wedge, and I'm cutting it.
Slicing.
And he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I want to make sure that everything matches up really good." He says, "You're taking too long, too slow. Get out of the way." He goes, "Dip, dip, bip, bip, boom." He puts it on. I was like, "Whoa!" He says, "I used to do all my own radio spots when he started, and then he basically invented the movie trailer genre and stuff." And he was just great. He was a great teacher while working with him. So it was just nice to know, from somebody who came at the beginning, and he had that great voice. He was so
Yeah.
happy that a Geico commercial about him,
Yeah. He became a
so that.
personality. People knew who he was. Yeah.
Yeah, he was so happy when Al Gore, they put him on stage at the Academy Awards, and he
Yeah.
said Al Gore, when he was vice president, he walked on, he had to go past him. Now, nobody ever saw Donald. He's always like the person, the voice, but you never see the face. And Al Gore walked right past him, looked at him, and goes, "You're that movie trailer guy." And he said that was like the culmination of a whole career. Because the vice president knew my face and knew who I was from, the little Geico spots and stuff.
So Don and I have a similar story. I was emceeing a Christmas concert event at Carnegie Hall
Oh,
for my friend Tim Janis, and fabulous Christmas concert he's done every single year to raise money for Kate Winslet's Golden Hat Foundation for autism. So brings in, Sir James Galway and all these amazing people, full orchestra, full chorus. And I'm usually the MC because I've interviewed him multiple times, on PBS for all of his concerts. And we've stayed friends and we've done a lot of work together. So Al Gore was coming out of the restroom, and I'm standing right there. So I have on this side to the right Al Gore, and right next to me Robert Redford.
nice.
I'm like, okay, what a sandwich this is.
Wow.
And Al had mentioned kind of like what he said with Don, but mine was, "Hey, didn't I see you last night on PBS?"
That's awesome.
I said, "Yes, sir." Sure
That's
did.
awesome. Yeah, that's all. It's also to be recognized, especially if you work a lot behind the scenes.
Except
So yeah,
right to come out right, especially with voices.
yeah.
Um, Ted, as I mentioned, you've had a prolific career, and what I mentioned in the beginning was really just scratching the surface. But the amount of incredible people you've worked with, and again, you are an extraordinary musician yourself. What inspired you? And I'd love to have you back, and you can come on as a guest as well. We can go deeper into your incredible career. But what inspired you to get into music and the arts? Did you come from a musical family?
Oh no, my father is as tone deaf as it gets. My late mother, late mother loved music. She loved to sing, but she wasn't very good at it. But she loves to sing. And my first guitar, I took her acoustic guitar and sawed it in half and made it thinner, like electric, and then took a speaker from a transistor radio, stuck that in, and ran the wire from that to the stereo. And I had an electric guitar, so I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. So, but she was always very supportive of me and what I wanted to do. I always knew I wanted to do music. I just wasn't sure until I got about 16 years old. My parents always so they always had music. This is really funny. In the house, I don't know if you remember the Columbia Record Club, and they used to get records, I think, every couple of weeks or every month. And so all the people that they got, of the ones, and I didn't even think much of it. It was like Trini Lopez, Harry Belafonte, Neil Sedaka, Steve Lawrence. These are all people that I worked with later on, but at the time, I didn't get to work with Judy Garland, but I got to work with Lorna Love, Judy's daughter. But I just didn't think anything of it because I wanted to listen to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and that kind of Isaac Hayes, Sam and Dave. That's the music I was drawn to. And so it's funny that as my career went on, I ended up working with these people like a Harry Belafonte that my parents really looked up to. And when my mother and father came to the show to meet Harry, that was like they were just so excited because Harry was kind of like before my time. But I've worked with so many people that I learned from before like even Ike Turner. I was telling DeeAnn, all the people I wanted to work with. I didn't work with them, but I worked with the people around them. I wanted to work with Tina Turner. I worked with Ike. I wanted to work with Paul McCartney. I worked with Ringo. I wanted to work with Keith Richards. I worked with Ron Wood. I want to work with Streisand. I worked with his sister Roz Kine. So but those were the people that really taught me. Ike Turner was one of my greatest teachers. And so I said, God, put those people in, even though if I didn't look, wasn't something I wanted to do. The only one I really wanted to work with was the first record that when I lived in New Haven, going to Roger Sherman School, I heard Dionne Warwick's "Walk On By," and something about that just really got me. And when I started working with Burt Bacharach, I said, that record really inspired me, made me want to do music, even more than the Beatles. The Beatles, I just liked that whole fame thing and all the girls, but the Walk On By, the music really got to me. And then when I was with Dionne Warwick about a year and a half ago out in California, when we were working on that Shirley Bassey, three ladies, divas of, of music, I told Dionne that your record, Walk On By, was what really inspired me. So it was nice to tell Dionne after working with Burt. And Hal David, the one who wrote the lyrics, I worked with Hal too. So that was really something, just, and I just found that if I worked and I could play the guitar, I just picked it up and started playing it. And I just kept working at it. And all I didn't go on, hang out with my friends in school. Once I started, that was it. And I just was like, the guitar said, if you keep playing me and you practice, you'll get good. And the guitar was, my goal wasn't to be the greatest guitar player in the world, but the guitar led me to making records, because through the guitar, it put me in positions where I can meet these people and be around these people and learn from these people. And all the people I've learned from, I didn't go to school. I went to work right out of high school, but all the people I've learned from were because of me playing the guitar, being in that situation. And they all, and asking questions. So I'm really grateful, just even so at this age, I always tell young people, I said, you talk to older people, ask them one question, and they'll keep going. So just listen, and
Listening is so important.
yeah, and then so how to learn. I was taught how to learn to get on the job around older guys, so you'd learn from them when you were there. And one of my mentors was a Bob Friedman, who started Berkeley School in Boston,
Mm.
and he used to arrange music for Aretha Franklin. He was a mentor of mine, and Howard Roberts, who was the first black producer at CBS. And these guys would sit down and they would explain from, working with Burt Bacharach 15 years is like going to school and getting paid really well. And it's like, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? And it's not that he sat there and said, I'm going to show you how to do this. He just he just expected me to know how to do it. So I love that kind of pressure. And so all those people reside inside me, the influences from people like Cornell Dupree and Richard T and those famous musicians and African musicians I've worked with, they're in me. So when I work with somebody like DeeAnn, I can bring all that stuff out and make music that's influenced by all these people that before me, and then her voice on top of it. It's just such a eclectic, beautiful, soulful mix,
Really
so that
nice. Really nicely said. That's a great trajectory. Yeah, I can imagine what that night was like when the parents met Harry Belafonte and
oh
all of
yeah,
this. And I know what you mean about the records and the big wood stereo. They would have everything in it, the AM/FM, the turntable.
yeah,
Sometimes there would be an 8-track or cassette in there as well. And my father would always get the Columbia Musical Treasury, the big albums, and it would have all these names you're talking about. And then a lot of also, I got really interested in instrumental and even some of the orchestral stuff because it was on those albums. So we would
hmm
go digging through that stereo system, and whatever was in that stereo system, that was my mother's or my father's. My mother having a lot of Johnny Mathis and the Righteous Brothers and
hmm
Elvis and all
Oh,
of
I love
those
Elvis.
sounds. My
Love
father
Elvis.
having John Gary and Andy Williams and Como and all of those, Percy Faith and Ray Conniff and all those sounds. So I was introduced to all of that
hmm
material pretty early because of what we were taking. We scratched up all the records, unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, but replaced them, dug through the internet, replaced them all on CD for the folks, which was nice. Not easy to do because some of the music was, you ever hear Terry Baxter Orchestra doing a cover of a Beatles song or something? It was hard to find some of those obscure, orchestras or no-name instrumental groups. But we did it. We managed. We did it, and it's that music you hear early on that really sort of oftentimes sticks with you. What was some music that you heard early on, DeeAnn?
I was just thinking the same thing. Natalie Cole, Tony Bennett, Sarah Vaughan. My dad was playing all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I fell in love with Carole King.
Yeah.
I just think she's one of the most amazing writers.
Hmm.
And her one album with It's Too Late, like that whole album.
Mm.
To have every single song be a hit is like that's huge.
That's
I don't
huge.
know.
Hmm.
You know, you might get one or two songs that do well, and then the rest they're called album cuts, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Did you, Ted, ever dabble in the commercial and/or jingle world?
Oh yeah, New York. We did Come On In, Decline, Sleep, Have More Fun in Bed. We did NBC Super Bowl. We did Applebee's. I
Oh,
did with my
really?
friend my friend Ron Dante, who sang
Oh,
Sugar
Ron
Sugar.
Dante. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked with Ron in California since 1990, and Ron is just like that's where he met Manilow on a commercial. And Ron said even after he started having hits with Barry, he was doing commercials with Luther Vandross, Valerie Simpson, who was already a successful writer with her husband Nick, but they just liked doing the commercials. So Luther Vandross, even after he was famous, they would all just keep doing those commercials. They just loved it. Was so cool. And for me to get there at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm in this commercial with the Brecker brothers, Tom Harrell, Bob Mitzer, all these great guys. And so you're out of there at 9:30, but I would stay and then watch the singers come in and then the strings come in and then they mix it and da 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 da. And it's like, wow, just and everything's quick in New York.
Right.
When they
Right.
say 9 o'clock, they mean we're starting at 9, downbeat. So you walk in at 9:05 and that's it. And I work with guys like Joe Brooks, who was famous for You Light Up My Life, but Joe
Hmm.
Brooks made all his money doing commercials. He made
Hmm.
so much Dr. Pepper, so misunderstood, these
You're a
just
pepper, I'm
amazing
a
commercials.
pepper. Yeah.
Yeah, just great. And so the thing I liked about New York, especially when I came back from Israel and living in New York, it was that period from like the mid 70s into the mid 80s. And it was very rich. And so you could do commercials in the morning and then you could go do recording sessions in the afternoon, do a Bob Dylan session at night, go play a club till 4 o'clock in the morning and get up the next day and start all over again and do it all. And we were all just working and you could stand on a street corner and run into everybody you needed to see. And I really am sorry that kids nowadays don't have that opportunity to
Yeah.
be exposed to every kind of music. She says, well, you eat everything. And when I grew up in New York, you had to do everything. It wasn't like a luxury. It was
Right.
like expected. It's like, what are we doing today? We're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this. And you just did
Right.
it.
Exactly.
And if you didn't do it, then you were done and they called somebody else.
You couldn't do it all in your bedroom on your laptop like now.
No. Yeah.
It was
So
a whole other world. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's nice. It's nice to learn in those situations where it's sink or swim. And so it's a great way to learn because what are you made of? And so like even like yourself in radio or anything, people like Rick Dees and Don LaFontaine. So how did these people get through all the crowd and get to the front of the line?
Hmm.
And it's because Don told me that when he was 13, his voice changed. He was talking about, oh,
Mhm.
mom, I would like something, and it just went donk,
He
and
went
it was like
down.
he
Yeah.
got scared, but
Exactly. Yeah.
he got so popular doing it that he was doing 25 spots in a day. And he was at back then in the 90s, they didn't have so much on the internet. So he bought a fax machine in his limo. They would fax him the copy. He'd drive to Fox over there and then he would go look at it, bring him his coffee, his crossword puzzle. How do you want it? Read it, get in the car, boom, and go do another one. And he was just doing it. And then when I got him into using Brawner mics, so then he started working at home, and his wife was like, "He never leaves the house anymore. He's just always here." He used to be out all day doing spots, but
The home studios. Yeah.
yeah, but he was really good at it, and he could just read it. And when I worked with him, he was like, even though he was good friends with me, when we were
Hmm.
working, he was like, look at the copy. He said, "Okay, 20 seconds. You want me
Yeah.
to read it high? You want me to read it low?" And he'd
Just
be
tell
like,
me. Right.
in a world from the
In a
depths,
world.
Yeah,
Right.
he just
Yeah.
had that thing, and he helped a lot of people. And I
Yeah.
learned a lot about. He hired me to do recording things. He was married to the singer Anita Whittaker, who worked with David Foster. And Donald was just so generous. The pastor of the church. We went to a church on Coldwater Canyon that me, John Stamos, Gary Busey, John Schneider, Elena Reed Hall from 227, agents, Don, and everybody went to this place, and we'd all be there on Sunday morning, and it was a great hang, and it was just really special. But Donald just bought, the pastor wanted to work out. He came home and there was a Nautilus machine in his driveway. And Donald just, anytime he found out somebody needs something, he just wanted to share his good fortune with everybody else. Very generous.
Yeah.
Very
Did
generous.
you ever get into any voiceover work or any of that kind of session work, DeeAnn, at all?
I did do
Commercials?
some jingles, but Northtown was the only one that did something with it. But jingles is fun.
There was that time when it was so big, right? And they would use all of these, like I learned recently that you probably heard of the Ron Hicklin singers. They were used so much for so much material. And I realized in digging that not only did they sing promotions for the TV networks, but they also sang the theme to Love American Style. They were the actual background singers for the Monkees, the Partridge Family. And they were also at one time during the mid 70s to early 80s, they were the Ray Conniff singers as well. Session singers that came together, and this is, what you did, session musicians, right? And
if you get them sounding good like that, like the three
harmony.
So we left Nashville, and he has these great singers in Nashville that he was bringing on that are lead singers and also harmony singers. But he's like, man, what am I going to do when I get to Florida? And within 1 month, not even, he's got 3 new singers that joined me on my last song, Sing to Me. And they sound gorgeous together. They blend together beautifully. And once you get that kind of sound and that connection, you call them back because it has that sound. You know what sound you're going to get.
Exactly right.
They're really young. And
very
they're
young.
Really wise. They're like 20 years old, 21, but they're very wise. But all 3 of them come from musical families, and their parents and fathers were musicians.
Sort of old souls,
so,
yes, that's what it is. They're old souls, and they're not afraid, but they listen. They did exactly what he said, and right on. Like, I mean, they had their pitch in together. They cut off when they were supposed to. It was perfect.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I have a friend, Sean Radford. So he's runs a music program over here at Palm Beach Atlantic, where my wife works. And it was his class. He brought me in as a special guest. And so I heard that. I was like, wow, you got some really great kids. And some of the people that Emily works with, my wife Emily, they kept saying, you got to get this girl Mary. And, it was like, well, okay, fine. Then I heard Mary, and Mary, I said, I need a session, bring somebody else. And she brought Victoria. And then I heard Thomas over the class. So I give a shout out to Sean for just the way that he really taught them. And they're beyond their age. Between Sean and their parents and stuff, they're really mature, as if they were, in their 40s, and they've been doing it for a long time. And they're just starting out. They're starting out their journey.
And very respectful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
When there isn't not harmony. When you hear harmony, it's just like melted butter. It's and you worked with a group that was known for that too, the Manhattan Transfer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fabulous one, huh? And they just sort of wrapped things up not that long ago. Yeah.
Yeah, they stopped. I mean, I go back with the Manhattan Transfer to when I came back from Israel. When I was in Israel, the piano player, Yaron Gershovsky, I met him over there. And I was in Tel Aviv working with everybody. And then when I got back to the States, they were looking for a guitar player. And so it didn't work out at that time, but then cut 2 years later. And I think Ron Dante brought them in. We were working on Steve Lawrence's record. And he brought in Tim Hauser, and the late Tim Hauser, and Alan Paul. And when I met Alan, sometimes things snowball, and Alan talked to me, and he hired me to work with him on his solo record. And so that's where I first met them. And the next thing I know, the last session that they did before Tim passed away was in my studio. That was that song, The Man I Love. And so just really some of the things that I've been blessed to work on have been like historic things, whether it's Whitney Houston, when she started out, and just DeeAnn's always telling me, when you go write your book.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
We need
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what's the purpose of a book? I have a friend, Jason Miles, and he put out The Fabulous Journey of Jason Miles, and so he's worked with everybody, Luther and Miles, and but what's the purpose of my book would have to be how these people interacted with my faith journey, because that is, I used to think that music and these famous people were the highest level you could go, and it's no, so my faith journey and how working with them, what did I learn about myself? You
Hmm.
know, I've
Yes.
worked. I always tell the story. There's a lady I work with named Elizabeth Keck. That's one of the richest women in the world. David Foster sent her to me. The Keck Foundation out in L.A. You have Keck hospitals. You have Keck everything. They give millions of dollars. She won the Kentucky Derby. She just was a billionaire lady, and so working with her and her faith was not how you think it would be. And I was like, "Well, you've had a blessed life that people only dream about, with so much money." But, I don't think she felt satisfied,
Mm,
So it was nice to see somebody that
Hmm.
wealthy up close, whether it's a Whitney or Michael Jackson or Elizabeth Keck. And you always say, well, if I had all the money in the world, I'd be happy.
mm-mm,
And so I know people that don't have any money that are happy,
mm-hmm.
and money
Yeah.
doesn't, so it's are you happy with your job? Do you like what you do? And then that's not work. And are you good to the people around you? And then when you leave, will people remember how you made them feel?
Yep.
Is that
Not
something you always knew, or did that come with time, Ted?
that came from losing everything and then rebuilding my life from there, and it puts things in perspective. I went to seminary after starting all over again, and I always tell people I'm like Job in the Bible, where he loses everything. He
Yep.
never denies God, and at the end, his everything was restored tenfold. And it says his latter days were more fruitful than his former days. You could change my name to Job, and it would apply. Really
It's
cool.
uh, it's really beautiful when you get to do things that inspire others and you create art, in
Hmm.
this case, music, and it has touches and elements of your own life experiences, the
Mhm.
good, the bad, the sad, the happy. And both of
Hmm.
you, none of us gets out of this life without things that happen that we love and that we prepare for,
Hmm.
and things we don't prepare for, and things that derail. But the experiences you've both had, and DeeAnn's been very open about her experiences of life as well. You're able to pull from that, which adds a certain textural richness to what you're delivering. It's not empty, um, stuff that's just here and there, in and out. It really has depth and meaning, and you want people to not only hear it and appreciate it, but to feel it and be left with something, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we talked about her journey and what had gone on in her life before we ever started working on music.
Oh
It was
yeah.
really important. It was really important that I knew who she was and what mattered to her, and
Right.
who she was as a person. And then once we had that conversation, then we could go off and do music. But if we didn't
Right.
have that conversation,
What a good way
working
to
would
do
no.
that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. I
that's
was.
what I like to do when I talk to people, is that conversation, cup of coffee, whatever, prior, because then when lights and
Hmm.
cameras and things are on, it's automatic. It's because you've already got a feel for where this
Yeah.
person's coming from and what makes them tick. And, you see their heart on their sleeve or whatever it may be. And it's a wonderful thing. So the two of you were able to identify that with one another, which just enhanced
Hmm.
the recording process and the end product, right?
It
Hmm.
makes you understand each other better.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
It gives you a
Yeah.
different perspective.
Yeah, what's important, not
Yeah.
just how much money you're gonna make or do that, it's
That
just
just comes later.
yeah,
That's not the reason. It's the part of the result, but it's not the reason
yeah.
exactly.
We actually
And Tom,
become friends.
yeah. And
Right. So
Tom is like that. Tom is very spiritual. And
Very.
so Tom is very a man of faith, and
deep, and
and a believer in people and trying to help people.
Oh
He
he's really missing his friend and friend of all of us, Richard Simmons, of
yeah.
course.
Yes,
Richard
yes.
was, coming from the television side of things myself. Richard
Hmm.
was just a real spirit, wasn't it? He really created a wave that
He
nobody
made so
would
many
ever
people happy.
thought. He really,
Yeah.
really did. And he was coming back on social media. He was
Yeah.
coming back. He was feeling more comfortable. And I guess everybody's lucky that you at least got that part where he did come back and connected with him just before the birthday and everything. But
Yeah, actually, I just signed on with Tom, and then Tom told me that he was just getting back with Richard Simmons.
it was right around that time.
Same exact time, and then
The Richard Simmons
and
passing,
then
right?
he told me how he passed away, and yeah, he
I
was.
think it was around he and I believe that same week it was Richard Simmons and Dr. Ruth. I think were both around the same time. We have a little teaser here of the phenomenal music, and it's a real teaser, folks, because we want you to go out and to get it. We'll let you know how you can get it as well. It's a real work of art. But here's that little teaser here. Did you guys want to preface this or anything about it, or just have them hear it and then we'll chat after?
Can we go back to my story where I found her homeless in the streets? And
Yes, you didn't shuffle. You shuffled up to Buffalo.
yeah, I shuffled up to Buffalo. You know, this song is great, and I've always wanted to do the song with somebody. When I first heard it by Al Green, then I heard it by Queen Latifah, and it just was. I just put it aside. I said, one day I'm going to meet somebody that this is going to work perfectly with, and then there she came.
So you had this in your back pocket until the
And
right
two songs.
person. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the other
That's
song, one of the
amazing.
songs is "Love Will Follow," written by Tom Snow and Kenny Loggins. But Tom Snow is my client. I did so many songs and records with Tom, and Tom gave me a bunch of songs, and I was holding on to them. And when I started working with DeeAnn, I said, well, I always try to find a Tom Snow song. Tom wrote "Everything Is Here for the Boys," "Slow." I mean, "He's So Shy." Great writer, one of the best.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so I just looked in there. I didn't even know the song. I just said, well, one of these will be great. So I just picked one song and I sent it to her. And she said, I really love that song. I was like, what song? She said, "Love Will Follow." I said, what's that? I don't believe it. So I had to go back and listen. It's like, oh, I knew if it's a Tom Snow song, it's going to be great. I just didn't remember that one. She said, I'm really loving that. And the record that we did on it is just amazing. I can't wait till Tom hears it. Tom is just a great songwriter. And the people you mentioned that I worked with, there's some songwriters like you were talking about Carole King. So I worked with Jerry Goffin, who wrote all the lyrics for most of those songs with Carole, and all those brill building writers.
Brill building, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been blessed. I have them all in my studio. And, you know, the guy we do Cry Me a River, Arthur Hamilton was one of my clients in my studio. And just, you know, just all of these people who write, and I've turned around and it's like, wow, you know, Phil Everly's standing in front of the microphone in my studio, and Sarita, Stevie Wonder's ex-wife, and Billy Preston was in my studio, and just people that I had only heard of, and now they're all just. Burt Bacharach brought Brian Wilson into the studio, Elvis Costello, he brought Sir Tim Rice, you know, all these amazing people, and so it was just great to meet them one-on-one and to know more about their story, like, you know, somebody that you talk to.
Well, before we show that clip, I just wanted to let folks know that you've dabbled in television and film too. You arranged and programmed, recorded songs from movies such as "I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry," "Love of
my
the
movie
Game,"
debut,
"Walking Across Egypt."
Yeah.
Composed scores for ABC TV's World Stunt Awards, Showtime's Full Frontal Comedy, and as for Mercedes-Benz. He produced songs for MTV's first film, Together, Jean-Claude Van Damme's film, Desert Heat. Also taught record production at UCLA, delivered lectures at University and Cuesta College and Los Angeles Recording Academy, and also served as a panelist at the annual NAMM convention, just on the side. Really,
I feel like I'm gonna get a watch at the end of this.
I was gonna say, I'm Ralph Edwards, and this is your life. No, we don't have gold watches here, but we do have a year's supply of Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. Would that work?
I did commercials for them.
I'm sure. All the game shows; those were the gifts.
Yeah, I thought that I would get the product. You know, when you work, do I have a Mercedes for doing Mercedes?
And that you would get a Mercedes. And
No, do I get
Not
donuts for doing Dunkin' Donuts? It's like, nope.
nothing.
There was nothing ever in the studio from, related to the product, which when I first started doing them in New York, I was like, McDonald's, do I get like a gift certificate? Nope, you get paid. That's it.
You get paid
So,
and see you later.
but I love
It's
radio. Working with Adam Sandler was really wonderful. Adam was really great to be on set with Adam. And, I got to meet Lance Bass because Lance Bass was in that movie. And so it was just really, Adam's great. And Adam has the same people working with him. He's really good to all the people
He's
around. And
very good friends with somebody who has become a friend of mine, who is one of the sweetest guys on the planet. He's been a guest 3 times on our show, Tony Orlando.
I work with Tony. I did
Oh, you
a
did.
remake.
You did.
Through Ron Dante, I brought Tony in. We did a remake of Tie Yellow Ribbon, written by a friend of mine, Larry Brown, L. Russell Brown. But and I brought in Young MC, Bust a Move Young MC, and he did the rap, Tie Yellow Ribbon on the Old Oak Tree, and it was really, really cool. And it sounded great. And Tony was great to work with.
Did you
And
see his? We were at the final concert that he did, ending his 60-year touring career at Mohegan Sun
wow,
Casino, and it was jam packed, and it was
Wow.
3 hours, no
Wow.
breaks,
Wow.
nonstop. He did
Yeah.
3 hours. He saluted the troops. He did. I mean, he brought all these people out. Priscilla Presley was in the audience. He
wow.
brought out Cousin Brucey and
Mike, I love Cousin Brucey.
Cousin
Yeah.
Brucey, and who gave him his start on radio, played his
Wow.
songs on radio, and that's why he honored him. He's just a really sweetheart of a guy, and he's become a friend, and he's been with us several times, but a really
Super
good guy.
talented.
Super
He's like
talented, funny and creative. And
Yeah.
he was a record executive himself too.
Yep, up at
Yeah.
CBS. Yep. April
Yeah.
Blackwood, he was there. Yep. And he had records before he was Tony Orlando and Dawn. He had
was
other
his
records.
own, right? He was
Yep.
his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's a
Yeah.
great guy.
Absolutely. Did you ever work with one of my very close friends, very close with the family of Ronnie Spector? Did you ever work with Ronnie or meet with Ronnie and the Ronettes?
My first musical director gig was with the Crystals, which is one of Phil Spector's groups. Is Ronnie Spector and the guy, one of my clients, Jeff Barry, with Ellie Genish, wrote the Ronettes. Be My Baby, Going to the
Yeah,
Chapel.
right.
No, that's the Chiffons, but
Walking
all
in
those.
the Rain and all those songs. Yeah.
That's Jeff Barry. And so that Phil Spector Wall of Sound, it was great to work with the Crystals and be their musical director. It was pretty cool. Ronnie was great. I loved the one she did with Eddie Money. And all those people, it's just nice to meet them because they're all just, like they're all down to earth. And I've never worked with anybody, even with a Bob Dylan, who wasn't just, hey, how you doing? Just really, really cool.
Did you see the
Nobody with
Timothée Chalamet movie on Bob?
yeah, I did.
Did you like
And
it?
so, I don't know. I don't know how.
Should we go to the teaser?
No. It was a really good movie
Good. Yeah.
because it showed Bob as Bob. So
Yeah.
that's my best way to say
Which
it.
is the key to it,
And
right?
so the character that Timothée Chalamet portrayed in the movie is totally accurate.
Is
So I mean, I know Bob. I'm godfather to one of Bob's kids. I did 3 albums with Bob. I've done stuff in my studio with Bob where we did George Gershwin songs.
Oh yeah. Wow.
I really I had a long interaction with Bob. I even turned him down to go on tour with him, which was nobody tells Bob no, and I did that. So I have that in my hat there. But with Bob, when you were talking about sitting between those two people, I was at the Kennedy Center with Bob and Elizabeth Taylor, and I'm sitting between Bob and Elizabeth, and I was like you were saying, well, this is pretty cool. You're just to be around those people and talk to them as people, not stars or anything.
Exactly. I'm surprised if you weren't at the We Are the World recording.
No,
but
all my clients are in. Harry Belafonte's in there, Diana Ross is in there, Stevie Wonder's in there, Bob. I mean, just Howard Hewitt. Half the people,
everybody.
and Harry Belafonte. I have to say this because people don't know. So Harry came up with the idea for We Are the World, and Harry was involved in a lot of causes over in Africa. And Harry called up Ken Cragen, Kenny Rogers' manager, and then they called Quincy and Lionel and Michael. But Harry, the reason why Harry's in the video is because it was his idea. And there's a great clip on YouTube where Al Jarreau leads everybody singing Deo with Harry in the back blushing, really blushing. And it was a really sweet moment just to see that.
That's amazing. What a story.
Yeah.
So here's the teaser that we've been teasing.
Teasing, right? Sorry.
Teasing. No, that's great. Great stories that you're both sharing. We love it. The viewers are loving it. They're commenting as well. And everybody's saying hello. And Leo True Frost, a big fan of our show, says, tell Ted and DeeAnn I'm a big fan. Well, Leo, he's smiling from ear to ear.
Jim, I just want to say, Jim, thank you for your show. You have a great personality and warm. You're a great interviewer and much better than Letterman. And it's just nice that you offer this opportunity for people that, for people to come on and let them talk and to talk about what they're doing. And I just, God bless you for having this and for keeping this going.
Yeah, he asked me about you, and I said, he's great. He was the first one that I ever, you interviewed me. I said, he's so easy to talk to. He makes you real comfortable. He's knowledgeable. Because we were together last week just working, and he was asking me, how it was with the interview. So, yep, now you see.
Yeah, great. That. Really great. You just have such a great vibe, and you make people feel comfortable. And like I said, I've talked to lots of people. I've done TV shows and interviews where they talk to you before the interview. And when I was working with Streisand's sister, and Barbara had just gotten married to James Brolin, so we talked before, and she said, "I'm going to ask you this: what's it like working with Roz and blah 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 blah?" And then as soon as the cameras came on, she went totally off, and she started asking me about gossip and stuff. And thank God I had dark glasses on, because she caught me and she really ambushed me. And I have to admire people like Bill Clinton, who can just talk without thinking. And I was like, and I was so mad at her because that's not what you said you were going to talk to me about. She just disregarded everything. So, she's the anti-Jim.
Anti-Jim. You mentioned Rosalind Kind. She's been a guest several times as well. Isn't she a delight?
Yes, she's great. Oh, she's great. And I said, I said I want to work with Barbara, so I got to work with Roz. But through Roz, I got to see
much like her. She sounds like Barbara.
Definitely. And we're all from Brooklyn.
That was one of my favorites.
Something in the water in New York for sure, right?
For
Brooklyn,
sure.
Long Island, Buffalo. I mean, it's all something in the water. Ted, do you agree that if somebody were just tuning in real quick right now, if they saw DeeAnn, almost a little Gloria Estefan, she looks a little bit like Gloria Estefan tonight, doesn't she?
She does.
She came back from, Florida, so that whole Miami Sound Machine vibe. Little Gloria Estefan, I like it. You see that, Ted? You see it?
Oh, trust me, for years.
You've heard that?
Oh my God.
Gloria Estefan, right?
So it's a quick story. I was driving to a gig, and she became famous in the United States. And her first song, one of maybe it was the second song, "Words Get in the Way." And I'm driving, and I hear, "I realize I'm seeing someone new." And I was like, "Who is that? Why did this woman sound like me? Like, who is she?" And I was just so bothered by it. I'm like, I didn't record that. I don't remember going to the studio recording that. And then they said her name, and I was like, whoa, like this, she looks like me. So every time I went on stage, I did a lot of Gloria Estefan, and because I love her music, I love her, and the band is amazing. And everyone, who you remind me of? You know who you remind me of? Yes, for years and years. So it never stopped. And then it was funny, for like a few years I did country. And I thought, okay, Gloria Estefan, I love you, but it's time now. They're not going to compare me to you. So I'm doing, country music. And people would come up to me, "You know who you remind me of?" Like, who? And
That's
it's like,
cool.
no, I'm in the country genre right now.
Yeah. I was thinking of it, and I said, boy, really, especially tonight, just everything, the Florida glow coming
same
from
here.
Ted's place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since you have that guitar there, did you just want to pluck anything for our viewers who are watching and raving about this conversation, just so they hear your incredible talent, my friend Ted?
I don't know. I mean, the stuff. If I picked up the guitar and I start playing, I'll play like from Quentin Tarantino movies to Link Ray, stuff like that. I'll play old things like I'll play Beatles songs. I'll play Eminem. It's hard. It's like all these things are in my head. But if I played this with DeeAnn, it would be soulful instead of just Whole Lot of Love. It would be like that, and it would become a whole different kind of thing. We were playing Listen to the Music the other day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Isn't that a
so
great
much.
song?
Yeah, so we would do it. We would make it funky. Whoa, whoa. Listen to the music. And we'd be often playing something like that.
What's your favorite? I'll ask you, Ted, first. What's your favorite time period of music for you personally? Not just to necessarily play or collaborate with, but for you that brings you the most enjoyment because you're surrounded by so much music.
So I used to, when we used to go to studios and say somebody had been there, some famous group in the day before. So we come in and they're like, who was here yesterday? And all they're talking about is, so came in, blah, blah, blah. It always made me feel minuscule, like I didn't matter, And I always said, I'm never going to make anybody feel like that. I'm always going to be like, whoever I'm working with, they're the most important person. And I can have a resume 40 miles long, but the person I'm working with at the moment is the one that's the most important to me. And so I'm working with her now. And so all those other people, that's great. They're all great. But, my focus right now is I'm working with DeeAnn, and that's there's nobody that should make her feel like if somebody's more famous, I'd rather work with her than work with Whitney. Whitney's had she could sing great, but there was so much service, a Yiddish word meaning like agita, the Italian word agita, crazy stuff going on. But DeeAnn is like, there's no drama. There's no chaos or drama. She's not going to come to the studio drunk or high. She's going to come in rested. She's going to go pray on the beach. She's going to be ready to go, and she would be prepared. So that's just, I always want that the person I'm working with at the moment to feel special and to feel like you have my attention, and that I'm not living on some person I worked with before, even yesterday. It doesn't matter who I worked with yesterday. Today is, the present. That's the most important thing.
When I first started singing, he made it so easy. He made me feel like I'm $1 million. My voice is $1 million. No matter who. I already knew who he's worked with, and then he made me feel like I'm just
you. But you were the only one in the room, right? Exactly. So today,
like what you do. You've had a list of all these famous people on, and you make us feel like we're just as important as any of them.
Yep.
You are. Yeah, absolutely. Because there's always something to learn and something to plug into if you listen, right? We all can learn from one another, no matter the expert level or the understanding of a certain thing in life. If you just listen and you sprinkle some things in, you can learn from everybody, even, just sitting on a train talking to somebody that, is 85 years old knitting or something. You can learn a lot if you just say hello. You know what I mean? You can really learn a lot. And
yes,
a lot of people
show, vibe on your show. With something like that's the vibe, your vibe, that, I'll make you a theme.
Well, you know what happened? I said, this is, believe it or not, we're working on a special, but this week is actually our 5th anniversary, 5 years of the Jim Masters Show. This week, wow. I was so busy with my work that when is the 5th anniversary? And I was told this week, Jim. So we're working on an anniversary special, but in the beginning of the show, which I started as, secondary to my work in television and radio, I slipped up one time. I said, gang, the show has a lot of light, love, and levity, because I like to sprinkle in humor and quick-witted stuff and react to things observationally as they're happening with some humor. And one time I said it too fast over the New Yorker, and I said, yeah, the show has a lot of light levity. Somehow I combined love and levity together, and I said levity, and then the viewers went wild, and they said, you are Mr. Levity. This is Levity Hall. We're your Levity squad, and the guests are part of the Levity family. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I'm gonna slip up more often. They're like, you didn't slip up. That was supposed to happen. So it was really cool stuff. So
we'll do the video together, because you said people are sending in videos for the
5th anniversary, right? So we're gonna do a special 5th anniversary. Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, I gotta go back to West Palm in a couple weeks, and so we'll create a video. He can play and I'll sing, and
that'll be nice. We'll show that on the 5th anniversary show. Yeah,
we can do take 5.
I like that.
In 5/4.
In 5/4. So, so folks, we have a teaser.
There we go.
We really do. This isn't just a gray screen, folks. There really is something that is going to play. We're not teasing you to keep you here, although the algorithm likes when you watch longer. We're living in an algorithm. We've got to write a song about algorithms.
Algorithm.
I thought I sat next to a guy in 4th grade named Algorithm. He sat across from manual labor.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Okay, back to doing comedy shows. I love it. That's awesome.
Algorithm. Yeah, algorithm. Is he Greek or? Here is the teaser, and then it's about 36 seconds, and then we shall come back. Here is Simply Beautiful, DeeAnn, with the incredible musicianship and more of our friend Ted Perlman. Here you go.
It got to be good to me. I'm gonna be good to you. There's a whole lot of things, yeah, you and I could do. Oh.
Really, really nice, gang.
That's cool. And a shout out to on that one, Jody Nardone is playing the organ, Jonathan Nixon's playing the bass, and Brian Zach's playing the drums. So they're just great musicians, and they really they just gave everything, really on.
We had Mo Lockhart, background harmonies, and Damian Horn.
Oh, that's right. Great singers.
Background.
How did you find the others to put together? How'd you put together the team?
I had done a session, and it was the singer was really terrible. Not the singer. No, the singers were great. They came up, but the producer was this lady, and it was awful. And it was really hard for all of us, and we bonded in suffering. So, so I said, man, I want to find something that can call these guys, because we sounded great. And it was just really, she just really kind of abused all of us. And we just, we became friends. And I said, when I called them, they were like, great. It'd be so nice to do it. And they made jokes about how different this was from the last time we had worked together. So that
I said right away, I said, yeah, I'm not like that. They said, oh yeah. We could tell. We got the vibe right away. We like it. it.
Yeah. So, in the business, whether, it's in television, movies, and music, or whatever, there are people that are difficult to work with. And, so do you let them take away your joy, or you just, this too shall pass. That's
Hmm.
also, you
Right.
can be working for a singer who's terrible to work for. You can be working for a musician, excuse me, a producer, anybody, in anything. You can have a boss at radio. I have a friend, Guy Aoki, and he used to write Dick Clark's radio show. He wrote Casey Kasem's radio show. And, uh, some of the people involved with the producers and stuff, it's like, you just, okay, fine, just get through it. Dick Clark was great, he said. Casey Kasem, I'm friends with Carrie Kasem, Casey's daughter. And so these people are always cool, but there's always somebody around who just wants to bring their demons and just make it, work hard. And
Mhm.
work should be, I always try to have people who are great, and whatever, everybody goes through challenges in their personal life. And I just love people who don't bring that to work. It's if you're coming to see a Broadway show, the person on stage could have, no matter what they went through, they come up and they do their show. And we owe it to the audience, whether they're out there in radio land, whether they're out in, film land, they're in music world. We're all professionals, and whatever we're going through, somebody else is going through something even worse. So you
Hmm.
just go to work, you try to lift the people up around you and make everybody feel good, so that the work is pleasant in any situation.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. That's the way to be. It's the best way to be, and leave
Yeah.
the room better than you found it. And exactly. And that's always been
Hmm.
my way too. I've gone into television studios, radio studios, stage, whatever, where the place is on fire and everybody's
Hmm.
upset and everything's crazy. And then I'll walk in and they're like, oh my God, Jim's here. He's not going to be demanding. He's going to make us laugh. He's going to find ways to, help us glue things together, but he's not a yeller or a screamer. He just gets in there
Hmm.
and gets it done. And that's what I always look for. And I think you just get a better outcome, when we're in it together. We all get a slice of the pie. We're all here,
Hmm.
no matter what level we're at, we all have contributions to make, and we're all of great value, and we're all here for a
Hmm.
purpose and a reason. And I think that's something we should never forget, right?
Yeah, it's we. It's not ego. It's we go.
I've said we so much in my life that I've actually had people I've worked with and others through the years say, stop saying we. And I said, why? I'm a we person. I'm a Libra, balance and harmony. I'm we. It's team. It's us. It's
Hmm.
we. We're rowing the ship together and we'll share in the prize. They're like, yeah,
Hmm.
but you were the one who accomplished it. You were the one who built it and did whatever that thing is. We had nothing to do with it. This one is an I. So take the I and enjoy the I, because this one wasn't we. So I've actually had people tell me to not always we it, because there is an I, and they're like, we weren't even there that day. You earned it. You did it. It's an I. We love your I.
We love your eye. There's a song there.
Yeah,
There's
We
right?
we love your eye.
love your I.
Yeah, we love your eye. I mean,
We love your lips.
We love your eye.
Bob Dylan has a song called "Serve Somebody," and even at Bob's level, he said you can be a king, you can be president, but you don't have to serve somebody.
Yeah.
And even if you're the Pope, you still have to serve. Pope Leo has to serve God. And
Hmm.
so we all have to interact with the people that are working for us, working with us, and that we're working for. And so, how do what kind of person you are, and
Hmm.
how do you make, like I said, the main thing is how do you make people feel to be around you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly.
It's
Right.
not like the morning show.
Right.
Hopefully that broadcast. Have you ever seen that one
Oh,
on
sure.
Apple?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So hopefully it's not always like that.
We have just a couple quick, and we'll have you back, but we've got a couple of quick photos that we dug
Ooh.
up here.
Oh,
Now,
so that
he is a huge fan of our show. He has
Jack
been with
O'Halloran.
us. He has been
Wow.
with us several times, and he was
Wow.
just on a month ago. So when I was digging for pictures, I said, I got to find the one of Jack O'Halloran. When he sees this episode, he's going to go crazy. He's always praising us on social media and everything else. One of the nicest guys on the planet. Um,
He came in my studio because I did a project for the Robert Mitchum family, the actor, and
right.
Robert's brother John, daughter, John had written all these poems, and so all the people that knew them through, Robert Mitchum. So he brought Jack O'Halloran in, L.Q. Jones, Dick Van Patten, the
Hmm.
people from Bruce Boxleitner from Tron, people from Dallas. It brought just an amazing group.
All the guests we want on the Jim Masters show.
Yeah,
They've just
yeah.
checked off some lists there.
But Jack
A
is
nice
really
guy.
interesting because Jack's father was Albert Anastasia, so
Yes.
that opened up a whole bunch of
And the whole Kennedy
things.
thing and all of
Yeah.
this. Yeah, he was just on recently talking about that. He's a nice
Mhm.
guy. Look at this shot.
Oh, I love it.
Deniece Williams, Howard Hewett, George Duke, and myself.
That's a great shot. That really is a great one.
Howard Hewett from that's Jerry Goffin. Now Jerry used to look when he was younger. He looked a little more normal. When I worked with him, he kind of had this kind of a hermit kind of look about him. But he still wrote some of the greatest songs. You mentioned the Monkees. Him and
Mhm.
Carole King wrote Pleasant Valley Sunday. He wrote Saving All My Love for You for Whitney Houston. He wrote Who Put the Bump in the Bumper Bump. He wrote
Oh, yeah. That's right.
just with Carole King, Up on the Roof, Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow. One of the classic American songwriters, and
There you
that's over
are.
it. Yeah, that's at what's it? Chris Stapleton's wife's store down
Hmm.
in I forget what it's called, but it was to Chris's guitar, and that's with Frank Jansen, who I did a lot of work for the Catholic Church with. His wife Valimar Jansen, you mentioned. That was at Harry Belafonte and 23-year-old me.
What a
You
great
know,
shot of Harry Belafonte and you, huh?
in my hair. I remember my hair, you know, and that's my braids. I was talking about that Brenda Russell. Those are the braids. Brenda Russell came up to me in the supermarket and said, "Wow, these are really cool." And I was just like, "Brenda Russell, Brenda Russell." I couldn't move. Those are my braids. That's me at with a group called the Classics. My first group when I was, I think that's 18 years old. Me thinking I wanted to be Alvin Lee from 10 years after. So I had the same guitar and I got the same haircut because I saw Woodstock and I was like, I want to do that look. So
A young
that was,
Van Halen a little bit.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Vandy,
Not
that
Van
was my
Halen. Uh,
Alvin Lee. That
yes.
was, I wanted to be
Yes.
Alvin Lee. Yeah. So
Right. John Bon Jovi too.
John Bon Jovi. Yep.
Yeah,
There you go. You know,
definitely.
just so, oh, where's that? Oh, that's Chet Atkins. I'm not in this picture, but
But you
I
had
think
worked,
that's,
did you work with him or you were part of something with him?
no, I think I was, who is that right there?
In the
I'm
back,
trying to,
right?
in the back. Yeah. I'm trying to remember.
On guitar.
Yeah, you got me on this one. That's
Yeah.
great. I love it. I talk to older people I've worked with, and they're like, "I don't remember." I was like, "You
Well,
must
that's what
remember.
happens.
You're in the picture." Oh my God, that's it. So that's Harry Belafonte and me on a German TV show. I'm terrified because it's normally you're playing with a group, and this time I'm playing by myself. And there was a song in his show, Don McLean song called "Empty Chairs," and
Oh
I learned
yeah.
it from I replaced Savuka, the Brazilian albino guitar player, and so I was always terrified because I was the one playing, so you make a mistake, you could hear it, but he took me
Hmm.
around. Harry took me on a private jet, and we did the show. And if you look at me, I look like I'm scared. I'm not scared about playing. I'm scared because I have to get back on the private jet after the show is over. And all I'm thinking about is, oh my God, I hate flying, and now I got to get on this
Now
beautiful
you're gonna get
private
on
jet.
the
Yeah, so that's Steve Lawrence at my studio. Steve was great, and
Oh, Steve and
I
Edie.
said,
Wow, what a powerhouse couple.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and Steve. So the great thing. So here's a great thing on Steve. I'll tell the story quickly. Steve Sidney Leibowitz, his real name, was the most famous person from my father's neighborhood, and my father always talked about Steve Lawrence, but he never met him. So when Steve was in my studio, I said, "Hey, my dad." Grew up on Livonia Avenue around the block from you. He's like, oh man, call him on the phone. So I call him up and Steve talked to him. And then when I went to Las Vegas with my dad, I called Steve up and he came down to the Hilton Sports Bar and they sat there talking in Yiddish for 2 hours about and my mother and Edie had died at the same time back in 2012, so they were commiserating about both losing their wives. So that was like a great gift I gave my dad, better than any $1 million gift I could have bought him.
Oh
Just
yeah, I'm
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Steve was great.
That's a great
That's
shot too.
my guitar. That guitar, Hal David, who wrote all the lyrics for the Burt Bacharach things, And I actually produced some stuff with Hal singing. There's Burt Bacharach on the left, and the guy on the right is is Adam Sandler's musical director, Brooks Arthur, but he produced Janet Ian at 17. He did a lot of records. He did Lean on Me for the movie. He did, musical supervisor for that. But the reason I got to work with Adam Sandler was because of Brooks. And Brooks and Burt know each other from back in New York, and that was just two heroes. That's me playing at the first. That church is First Baptist Church, and if you see Happy, the video by Pharrell, choir, the ones that's at the church, he filmed Happy there.
That he used.
And I used the choir, and I remember when I got to, I came in, and they said, "Oh, this little skinny kid came in, and we did a video." I was like, "What little skinny kid?" Somebody named Pharrell or something. I was like, "Pharrell, oh my God!" And they were in the Academy Awards. That video was the most popular thing from the movie Despicable Me. So that was really funny. Little skinny kid, they said, in shorts. And that's at the studio that's 57, my Glory guitar. That's the studio where I met those musicians back in Nashville. That was on that session. There's Ronald Isley there, who I just put out in England, a duet with Ronald Isley and Gloria Loring, how I met Tom Estey through Gloria. And that was when Ike Turner, which was really great to work with Ike. Ike was really brilliant musician, really great. And there's Dick Van Patten, that's from that Robert Mitchum stuff. That's Richard Hurd from Seinfeld on the right and Dick Van Patten on the left. They all came in and read John Mitchum's poems. Jack O'Halloran was on another one of those sessions. That's from those same time. There's me playing on stage in Nashville with my friends. It was cool. I had a friend that I'd worked with back in LA. The same band. They have a band. They do all these called 8-track 70s band, and they do all these 70s songs and stuff like that. Just
That's
80s.
cool.
Yeah, it's up to me to get up there playing, and it's like they're all younger, and I'm the only one who actually was there with all those people. It was funny. They're just great guys, and I like living in Nashville.
You mentioned too, one of our recent guests, Oba Babatunde, was just here on the show, and you know him and you're friends with him too. He's a great guy.
I know him since The Wiz, because I know all the people. My friend Charlie Smalls wrote everything in The Wiz, and Oba, he did Dreamgirls. He was in the original Dreamgirls with Cheryl Lee Ralph and Loretta Devine, and the Cherry Burrell. They're like all friends of mine, and all of us, we come out of that period in New York, and we were all just working. We were all working in Oba's. That I always wanted Oba to do the Marvin Gaye story. I wanted to record an album with Oba doing Marvin Gaye songs, because people know him from SWAT. They know him from Broadcast News
and Bold and Beautiful, and he's also done Sammy Davis Jr. and Berry Gordy. He says people still come up to him thinking he's Berry Gordy.
Yeah, I forgot he did Bold and the Beautiful. I had Bobby Eakes in my studio and Jeff Tractor, and we did a duet, a whole album of soap opera stars for Valentine's Day. And Bobby, who sang great, Jeff E. And Brooks Arthur was the one who brought that project. So everybody's tied together with everybody.
Yeah, everybody's all tied together. Yeah, and you know what it is? It's simply beautiful, isn't it?
Oh wow, that's great segue. That's
tying it together. What do you hope people are left with when they hear this new music? What do you hope is the feeling, the vibe that they take with them when they listen to it all?
That Gloria Estefan lives in Buffalo now.
Yes, she does.
That's a great picture. Wow.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. This is a cool one too, sir. Look at that.
Yeah. That's my Vin Diesel picture.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you took. I said I was gonna wear sunglasses, but you put a picture on the promo stuff you did, and my wife goes, you're not wearing sunglasses. She said, yeah. She said, you always wear sunglasses in all your pictures. And I said, well, since they like the picture with no sunglasses, I said, okay, fine. So I'll do this without sunglasses. I never go anywhere without sunglasses on. Me and Lenny Kravitz.
even when he came to Buffalo.
Yeah, so, at night, sunglasses at night. But my wife always like see my eyes. So yeah, that's what I normally look like. I got 40 pair of sunglasses. Yeah, but when my wife, I showed her the promo there. She said they used a picture of you without any sunglasses on. I
The
was like,
big reveal
wow.
on the Jim Masters show,
Yeah,
right?
the big reveal,
We have a graphic for that. It's a JMS exclusive.
There you go. The big reveal. That's
The
cool.
big reveal.
It's
So
really
you
cool.
guys were saying what you hope people are left with when they dive into this great music, and congratulations to you both on it. I'll start with you, Ted. What your hope was?
I want DeeAnn to be known worldwide. And so I'm happy people notice, I'm happy people talk about, I've done this and this and this, that's great. But I really want DeeAnn to be able to tour around the world. And I want people to know and to hear, that voice. And so it doesn't matter what music I put together. It's just, if people don't respond to her voice and her singing, that's the star of this album. The songs are great, but I want her to enjoy the fruits of all the singing and her life that she's gone through, and to be able to reach people and go to appear in London, Paris, and that's my biggest dream for this. That it leads her and it gets her to that next level.
Beautifully said, Ted. And how about you, DeeAnn? What is your hope people are left with when they listen to
You've
your
got
voice?
me
And
speechless a little bit here.
she's verklempt after that, Ted.
He's
I,
speaking Yiddish. He's
I'm just,
doing Yiddish.
When you're from New York, you speak everything, right? You,
He's speaking
you can blend
Yiddish.
in with all conversations.
The
no,
crack man.
I'm just so grateful that I get to work with someone like Ted that's been around the world, and I want the same thing that he did. I want that too, and I really love when I get done singing and someone just, whether I'm singing in a little venue or a large concert or a wedding, and I used to sing at funerals, that someone says, your voice touched me, your voice moved me, and I'll never forget how you made me feel. And so if Ted can bring all of that out in this next album, and I can make people feel that way and allow them to enjoy it, and to even bring them closer spiritually somehow to God, like all of that matters in this.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. You guys did it for the right reasons, and we are the recipients of the love. And congratulations on it. We've been showing DeeAnn's website as well. It's available Amazon. Is it streaming? Spotify, everywhere now?
Oh yeah,
All
it's
platforms?
all the platforms. It's on
Mhm.
YouTube too, and it's on my website, and it's on all the platforms. And yeah,
And there'll be proper videos coming in the future. Yeah,
he
I, I,
wants
I
me
just
to do. He,
I just
Extended
keep
teasers.
what,
Extended teasers.
what's the
yeah I keep
visual for this video? That's what I'm curious. He's got a visual for everything.
Right.
what for Simply Beautiful?
Yeah,
Oh, that Simply Beautiful is
there
like
you go.
a small black and white. And so, do you remember in Schindler's List when there was one girl, she had red on? She went through the whole movie. So when I saw the cover that Tom Esty had put together with that red dress, I said that would be cool to have the video be in black and white in like a jazz club, acoustic bass, and just the same four musicians, a couple of singers sitting there, and the only color in there, which is good for me because I'm part colorblind, would be her in the red dress and maybe a red hat or something. It would be really cool. But and then it would just have that dun 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 dun, a little smoky club, not real
Right,
smoke because we don't want any cigarettes, just kind of like
right.
fake smoke. But it would just really give the ambiance of the song, and that your attention would be just drawn to her, kind of like dimly lit with the musicians just sitting around the piano, and I can see the whole thing. It'd be great. A small,
Okay, well,
jazz
that's what
club.
you're gonna get. We're gonna
Yeah.
create one of those
You
videos.
put the order in, so she's going to deliver.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need videos because all the music is visual, and
Right,
every
Yeah,
one of the
exactly.
songs, whether even if it's "Meet Me on the Battlefield" or something, "Since I Fell for You," "The Kiss of Life," they all have the lyric that is something you could dive into. You could literally make a booklet just using the titles of these songs, and it would really have a meaning.
Hmm.
There's just "Since I Fell for You." It's just They're just really great songs, great lyrics, and her voice. They all just tie together. So, and I said having her dad singing behind on a couple of lines on the song is just really special. That I was able to use AI to do that and put him in the key and change the notes and put it in the where it fit in the song. So that was really cool.
Yeah,
What a delight. Yeah, to hear this and to hear how it all came together. It was really something.
yeah,
The
my
writers, yeah, great.
the
Oh,
song that
that's it.
we're talking about is "I'm Still Standing." So my brother, who passed
Elton
away,
John, yeah.
he was a big Elton John fan. He even has one of Elton John's hat from the concert, and he was a photographer too. So he used to get great photos of all these artists. But Elton was his favorite, and my dad, he took "Fly Me to the Moon." I love you. You know, he took all those lines out of the song and he put them into "I'm Still Standing." Then we turned it into a more grooved R&B kind of feel. And the reason the song even started is when we were just getting to know each other here in Buffalo. He said, "Man," he says, you've been through a lot in the last few years." I said, "Yes, it's been difficult." And I said, "But look at me, I'm still standing." And then we both went, "I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah." So that's how that whole song came about. And that was my first like beginnings of working with him. And what he did to that song, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited to work with this guy. Because really, I knew what he did, but I've never worked with him, so I didn't know where it was going and how it was going. And then when he brought my dad's voice into the song, oh, it was all good.
It's
Yeah,
incredible.
I can use AI in musical ways. So she had a recording of her dad singing, so I took her dad's voice off from the recording from cassette or whatever, got rid of the music, took the voice, and then so now I got it, but we're in another key. So I changed the key and put, fixed the notes, and her dad is singing as if he was in the studio with us singing.
Yeah.
So it's really
Amazing.
kind of cool, like what they do with like Natalie Cole, their father, and Nat,
Right.
Yeah.
and they put them together. And
Exactly.
that kind of thing. It's pretty when you use it in a musical way
It's
and a
amazing.
way, yeah. Instead of using it to just tell AI to make up songs, this
Right.
way you're using it to create something and add to something. So then it's like I don't feel guilty about doing that. I never would have been able to do that before. So that
Right.
You
was
also
really
shouldn't feel bad, Ted, that you were on those commercial shoots and didn't get any of the food or any of the product, because Merlin, watching in Canada, said that her grandson did commercials for Kentucky Fried Chicken and didn't treat us with their products either. So it didn't just happen to you, Ted Perlman.
Oh yeah,
It seems to
yeah,
be an industry-wide thing.
yeah.
Do not
Unless you
touch
go to
craft services table unless you're an actor.
unless you go to the Oscars and then you get those gift bags, which are great.
Then you get the gift bags.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I love the gift bags. That's really, really cool.
Well,
Grammys
this
and
was a
Oscars.
gift to have the two of you here on our show. We chatted for, boy, it's about an hour and 40 minutes. And,
wow. Yeah.
but when it goes by in a New York minute, as I say, free flowing,
You all,
conversational, no scripts and pre-prepared questions, just us coming together, sharing in this fantastic music and your amazing continued careers, and joining us and all the viewers who've been commenting and saying hello. And I will let everybody know this is going to be archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, so you can see it in perpetuity.
cool.
If you missed anything or you joined us late, it is archived, and there's hundreds of others as well. And thank you for all these great comments. Austin Field, another excellent show. Subscribe for great content. Thank you, Austin. And Kathleen, New York City girl, the Queen of Queens. Thanks for being here. DeeAnn and Ted, great conversation, great music. Wish you both continued success. Continued success.
The Queen of Queens. I love it. That's great.
Yeah, that's what I call it. Yeah, she's from the Woodside, Sunnyside area there, Woodside. She's a big Mets fan.
That's number 7. My dad used to, the Mets moved, but my dad used to take me out to Shea Stadium to go see the Mets.
That's what we did too. And the reason why Mets for us, though we went to Yankee games too, it became, if the Mets were out, then it became a New York thing. But My father, growing up in New York, was a Brooklyn Dodger fan when he was a kid. So when they left, most people went with the Mets. Yeah. So that's when that transition happened. Yeah.
And my pop said they used to stand outside and catch the ball. You know, that East New York, that whole area. I don't know how old your dad is.
You want a piece of trivia? We had Jeremy Miller on, the actor who played Ben Seaver with Kirk Cameron, Alan Thicke, Joanna Kearns, and Growing Pains. So we were talking, and he said, I have some trivia for you. And I said, well, I had heard that there's this strange connection between the series, the sitcom on ABC, Growing Pains, and the New York Mets. And he said, absolutely. Where do you think the Seaver family name came from? I said, where? He said, well, one of the producers was a huge New York Mets fan. And when they were deciding to name the family, they named him the Seavers after Tom Seaver at the New York Mets. So when you watch reruns of Growing Pains, the Seavers are tied to the New York Mets.
Then tied to DeeAnn, because that's Alan Thicke, Gloria Loring's ex-husband. Gloria Loring to Tom Estey to DeeAnn. You know,
and Alan Thicke did so many themes, the Facts of Life TV theme, and he was
Gloria wrote that with him. So she was the writer on that one. So I said the president of the seminary I went to, he told me I was the Forrest Gump of music, and first I thought he was saying I was dumb, but he said, no, you literally work with everybody. You can connect everybody. And I try to tell people who didn't grow up in that part of New York then, the Mets was so important that in my school out in Levittown, MacArthur High School, when the Mets won the World Series, they stopped everything, came on in the intercom, and classes came to a halt. Because it was the Mets, you know, nobody expected the Mets, how bad they were when they started. It's like the Mets won the World Series. That's impossible.
Exactly. So you were described as the Forrest Gump of music, huh?
Yeah, just because I've run into everybody and anybody you mentioned, Jack O'Halloran. I mean, that's crazy. People in Jack O'Halloran played in Superman 2. He played the big guy.
Yeah.
He, all the different
professional
things
boxer.
that he told me.
Yeah, boxer.
Yeah. So I mean, but I didn't know him until he was standing in my studio, and then it was just so many amazing people with amazing stories. Ann Magnuson came in. Oh, Ann Jeffries, who played Marion Kirby on top of her, and then Ann Rutherford, who was in Gone with the Wind. Now, I mean, here's the lady who was actually in Gone with the Wind and with Clark Gable, and so tell me stories about Cecil B. DeMille, and she's like firsthand stories. So just getting things about people, it's just crazy,
So would I be accurate to say that since you are considered the Forrest Gump of music, if Betty Davis walked in the room, she would say, "What a gump!"
What a gump! What a gump! But if I was in this wheelchair, but in that wheelchair, Blanche, in that wheelchair.
Because everybody knows she used to walk in and say, "What a dump! What a gump!
What a gump!" Yeah, they was cool though. I mean, these ladies knew those people, and it was just now you're getting stories knowing people who were there.
You're getting the real stuff from the real people who were there.
Jack O'Halloran talking, and then these people are talking about movie sets with Robert Mitchum and this one and that one.
Yeah,
and it's just I love the stories from people. I was producing Al Martino, and Al Martino was in Godfather 1 and 3.
One of the most underrated singers, huh? He really was terrific. Spanish Eyes, Always Together. My father, all of those records were in that big stereo too. Great voice. Great voice.
Great voice. And to sit there in his media
from Philadelphia, I think, right? Philadelphia he was from?
Yep. And telling stories about Marilyn Monroe and stories about, hey, Al, what happened with Godfather 3? And he was like, oh, this is why it was kind of hectic, what was going on, But,
we just about that yesterday.
Yeah, that, I mean, he's just got so many great stories about The Godfather. I love The Godfather. So he's a guy who was in The Godfather.
He's got a really nice Christmas album too. Of course, everybody put Christmas albums out, but his voice was so good for that kind of sound too. He's got a really nice Christmas album out, several of them. And
here's a teaser.
So we're working on, right? DeeAnn was mentioning
acoustic Christmas album.
Isn't
which
that
is going to be
cool?
really, really cool.
I can't wait
Like
for that, huh?
yeah, that's going to be great.
So
And
definitely
then
come back when that comes out.
when it's snowing in Buffalo, I'll have the visual of singing those songs, looking at the ocean.
Exactly right. In July,
Sh-
90-degree heat.
sh-
That's the way it works.
Shuffle off to Buffalo. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's it. You guys were terrific. Thanks for the generosity of time. It really was an amazing, as I say, not interview, but conversation and celebrating all the new music. And there, of course, DeeAnn's fabulous website, learning a little bit more about the iconic Ted Perlman joining us here as well, accompanying DeeAnn for this project. There is the cover. It's available everywhere, folks, and all the other music. And I hope you guys enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you. It was a real treat to have you with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh yeah, and we have a song going away, which
You
is
do?
we have a song. Now it's time to say goodbye to Jim and Company. JIMMASTRS.
CERS.
Which means lovity.
Lovity.
Lovity. Right. See? That's it. You guys are the best. You're right. What a gump. Exactly. He's going to come up with something with that too. Betty Davis eyes. Betty Davis eyes with what a gump.
So that's where. See, I told you the story. So Betty Davis eyes, my friend Bill Cuomo did the arrangement and played all the keyboards on, and he's the one that turned me on to Mo Lochran, who sang on the record. I said, I need a singer. I just got to Nashville, and Bill's worked with everybody. He wrote "Oh Sherry" with Steve Perry and stuff. But he says, call Mo. And I said, who's Mo? He said, call Mo, and that was it. And so Mo sang on this whole record, and she was great. So I thank Bill Cuomo for that. And Bill Cuomo, you could talk to Bill Cuomo for 9 hours on all his list of things that he's done. But it's just all of us, all these people, we all have these stories that sometimes they interact, and it's just nice. I said we all need to sit down, and before we all start forgetting these things. My friend Carlos, who was David Bowie's musical director, and I said, Carlos, we every time somebody passes away, that's one less person to tell stories, and so we need to write this down somewhere, because at some point we're all going to be gone, and nobody's going to know what was it like on Fame, and John Lennon was there writing, and who you need these stories to be told.
Exactly right.
Well, let's get that book started, Ted.
Oh, the book
going, right?
Now DeeAnn's in the book,
Exactly.
Yeah, now I'm in the book.
And don't forget to mention that time you stopped by the Jim Masters show.
Yeah, Jim's in the book.
It takes a village, right? Takes a village.
I mean, it's just first of all, it's nice to talk to somebody who remembers Long Island and says Long Island properly.
Not Long Island, it's Long Island, right? And you don't go in it, you go on it.
Right, go on Long Island. But the music, there's so many people, from Billy Joel, who's in the Hassles, and the thing that was cool about Long Island,
Harry Chapin, Billy Joel,
Harry Chapin's
Pat Benatar.
Harry Chapin's the reason I got the gig with Harry Belafonte. It was through
I
Harry
believe
Chapin.
he was from Huntington. Yeah,
I lived in Huntington Station out there, James Street, and Harry Chapin's drummer, Howie Field, I yelled at, fired on a Crystal gig, and then he turned me on to the Harry Belafonte gig. So all those people, but Long Island, he said Leslie West from The Vagrants became Mountain. In Long Island, there was like literally every block had a garage door open. There was a band rehearsing. And there was just, from whether it's at the Action House and OBI North and East, South, and West, there was just music everywhere. And it was like, it wasn't just in New York, it was out in Long Island. It was so rich, and just musicians and, just everybody out there. There was no shortage of players, from bands, The Illusion, bands you never heard of, people who went on to be famous, people who weren't famous. There was just so much, like you said, Brooklyn, for all those thrill building songwriters who happen to come from Brooklyn, and all these rock bands that came out of Long Island, which is amazing.
and then either a diner with a Monte Cristo or stop at White Castle at 2 a.m.
Oh my God! And get 13 burgers. Yeah, diners. Yeah, yeah. I love diners. They have diners, and they still have diners in Florida.
They have
In
them.
Florida. Yeah, you
Because
can still
half
go to a
of
diner.
Florida is New York, New Jersey,
Oh, yeah.
Connecticut. It's
Yeah.
all, it's, yeah. We have family there and they're like, they moved and built a house down there and they're like, we thought we were going to meet Floridians. This was across the streets from Massachusetts. This one's from New Jersey. This one's from Connecticut, New
Yeah.
York. It's amazing.
Yeah, my accent doesn't stand out here because they all sound like me here.
It all sounds like,
I'm from New York. You want coffee?
You want coffee, exactly. DeeAnn, congratulations. And again, a real delight to have you back with us.
Thank
Your
you.
trifecta, your third time too. And you'll be back. I mentioned we keep the porch light on for you last time. So here
Yeah.
you are. And
you.
congratulations on the new music. And truly, I hope you had another
Yes.
grand time with us as much as I have with you.
I did. I'm actually low on battery. I might lose you in a minute.
Yeah, we're ready to wrap now anyway.
Thank you so much for having me. And
Yes, thank you. Amen.
Yeah, thank you
The
so much.
pleasure is mine, DeeAnn.
Thank you to your audience.
You
Thank you to your audience.
congratulations, DeeAnn and Ted. Pleasure meeting you, and come back and see us again. And
I'd
you're
love
welcome
to.
back, and spread
Yeah.
the word about
I'd
our
love to.
show to
I'd love to.
everybody. If you know other folks you think like to
Absolutely.
pop on as well, and hope you enjoyed the
Sure.
time with me as much as I have with you as well, Ted.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having
Thank
us, and thank you for your support of artists and all
Yeah.
of it. That's really great. Thank you for that. That's
It's our
really
pleasure.
necessary. And yeah, so when I get a chance, I'll have a statue built for you. Outside
you very
outside
much.
the academy.
The Jim Masters statue. I love it.
or at least a star on the Hollywood Walk of
At least
Fame.
a star. That sounds good. I'll take that too.
We got
You guys are awesome.
$30,000. Yeah, start raising at $30,000. We got to raise the money ourselves.
Got to raise
now.
that money. Got to do another pledge drive.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, gang. Thanks again. Really, congratulations. A real pleasure. DeeAnn, thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you.
And Ted, thanks for joining us as well. And we'll see you guys real soon, okay?
Okay.
God bless you, Jim. Thanks, Jim.
All right. Spread the word. This is archived on our channel, so you can share the link on your
Peace and
YouTube
love.
link on your social media. And we'll see you soon, okay?
Amen.
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 Take care, Ted. And DeeAnn, thank you for joining us. Good to see you again as well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I'm your host, Jim Masters. Thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, we thank Ted Perlman, music legend. And there he is without the sunglasses. That was a JMS exclusive. Prolific guitarist and incredible producer. Has worked with so many people and teaming up with DeeAnn. And wow, great music, new music, phenomenal conversation. If you missed any of it, it's archived on our YouTube channel. And and check out all the other episodes too. There's hundreds of them with great guests. Don't forget to give this episode a like on the YouTube channel, a thumbs up like, share this on your social media, subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV, and also leave a comment for us in the comments section. We would love that. Once again, we thank Ted and for DeeAnn for joining us here, and we thank you for joining us as well. Don't forget to love one another, take care of one another, and don't forget to do the very same for yourself. It's really important to do that. Thanks for the great comments, Austin and Merlin and Kathleen and everybody watching around the world, commenting now and who will hopefully comment below later. We would love that. All right, come see us again. We love having you here. And this was a great conversation, wasn't it? You learned so much, and you got to hear a little of a teaser from the song, and it's on all the platforms as well. And just good stuff. And DeeAnn is really amazing, and Ted is a true icon in the music industry. He's worked with so many people, and wow, what a cool conversation. Good stuff. Hope you enjoyed it. Let us know, interact with us, and come see us again here on the Jim Masters Show. Be well, everybody. We appreciate you being here. Take care, and cheers.